Hi, Kiwi. Today has been an emotional roller coaster. Between accidentally texting a future employer that I'm going to look for nice girls in their area instead of the word hotels, and finally beating 7 Seaside, I have had emotional whiplash like no tomorrow. I'm very glad that you were awake and I could just run into the bathroom where you were sitting and scream and say, I'm not insane, I did it. Thank you for the hug. Thank you for tolerating me when I do those sorts of things. You really shouldn't. It's kind of weird and definitely uncomfortable, but alright, only 2 chapters remain and we're gonna go ahead and hit the core Seaside. And no... Oh, I see you need all the crystal hearts to even get a chance at it, which I suppose is in keeping with its... Definitely makes sense. That's how it usually goes, right? Alright, I have to remember that I have a limited number of dashes. Oh, look at you teaching us to hyper jump this late into the game. Alright, fair enough. I see what you want. I appreciate speedrun tech in my last minute challenges. Is that all they're going to do with it, though? Okay, so it looks like there's going to be a lot of bouncing here. And okay. Hey, this looks super doable because there are no fireballs. Fireballs are going to be what ends this run for me, so let's see how long this lasts. But I probably need to conserve a dash there, but maybe not. I don't know. Well, that's not helping. Alright, well, let's see what we can get with or without dash. No, maybe I think I need both dashes to get that, so... Well, I said it would be easy, but I didn't say it would be super easy. But I think at this point, anything that isn't 7's Seaside is immediately more approachable and more doable. That was unquestionably the single hardest room and challenge of this game that I have yet to experience. And yes, that can change once we see Chapter 9 potentially, but I don't know. It's, for now, I'm going to hope that Reddit was wrong and Chapter 9 is far more approachable than 7C. And it may just be that 7C is... 7C is easier because it is shorter. Chapter 9, I understand, is an extremely long series of challenges, which may be what lends its difficulty. But really the challenge of that of 7C is there is so little room for error and no checkpoints through the whole process. It really felt like you needed perfect timing, perfect spacing, perfect mechanic control. Oh, I can definitely grab that. Okay, yeah. So I use both my dashes to get onto this one up here, and then I can just focus on good platforming from there. It's hard to judge where I am when I go rocketing off the screen like that. Anyway, but yeah, it feels good. It feels good that that challenge is really done. It was rather frustrating, I think, to a degree, because it felt for a while that my sense of improvement was not there. It felt like I was very much plateauing in terms of mechanical improvement. But today, thankfully, it seems like having slept a bit more, the timing was a bit easier to manage. I was consistently getting to the last section where you just have to dash a whole bunch in a row while threading the needle through the spikes. Yeah. I'm trying to figure out the jump timing here, because if I jump too early, I really get rocketed, but if I jump too late, then the platform just despawns, so there we go. Alright, I think it's just a little bit of muscle memory development. It's kind of almost like cloud platforming, but instead of clouds, we have lava blocks. Oh, almost had it. But I digress. Chapter 7's Seaside was hands down the single greatest challenge, and I mean, when I put it into perspective, I was like, is it the hardest challenge I've ever had in video gaming? And I don't know, it's hard to really quantify that for obvious reasons. One, I don't have the memory of every challenge I've faced, and in terms of time spent, I don't know. I was gonna compare it to the Pantheon of Hollow Nest, but then I realized, if I think about it from that perspective, really the only challenge to the Pantheon of Hollow Nest was beating Nightmare King Grim, the Pure Vessel, and Absolute Radiance all in a row. And so the actual challenge didn't necessarily come from the Pantheon as a whole, but rather just the very last bit of it, which you could argue is the same for 7C, but I was still consistently dying pretty much the entire room. Like, I found new... Like, I kept surprising myself by saying, like, oh, I've never died that way before. Some were pretty funny. Like, I just accidentally walked off the starting platform, and I'm like, well, I guess I gave up. But, I don't know. It's... I don't think I would consider the Pantheon of Holland as difficult as 7C, because, again, really the challenge comes from the last 3 bosses in a row. And at that point, the other thing about that is I was able to practice Absolute Radiance outside the Pantheon, so I got versed in her skills enough to be able to beat her, whereas 7C side, I could not practice that last section, so my only way to practice it was to get there. Okay, Kiwi, my brain is fried. Clearly, I need to recuperate after 7C, so I'm going to take a couple days break from Celeste, and then I'll do this, because half an hour on a room 2 of a seaside is clearly proving to me that I need to maybe take a little bit of a break. I feel my fried brain frying and sizzling and... I'll pick this up in a little while. Love you. Alright, I've taken some time to refresh, and we're back to the grind. Hopefully this... Yeah, it's going about as well as expected. But I feel a bit more confident about my... Confidence is dead and wasted upon Jeff. Oh, we did it! We did it! Yeah! Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, sometimes just taking a break to refresh yourself, I mean, I proved this during Hollow Knight, is very necessary. Okay, looks like we have a pretty hefty length of stuff to do. Okay. Oh, I see there's a Kevin over here, and it's gonna rocket us, so I need to make sure that I stay low on the Kevin, or I'll get caught on that little lip there, I think. Oh, that's so... This room is so long. Oh my... It's still going. Oh, there's a bird. Oh, okay. It wants us to hyperdash, and there's the heart. Okay, so I have to remember to hyperdash at the end as well. Alright, well, let's see where this takes us. Oh, apparently I was already down a dash. That's fine. Doomed to failure from the start. They do not give you much room to mess things up here, do they? Okay, whoop. I can still do this, I think. Oh, I was out of dash juice. Okay, I see. A little early on that jump, but looks like I have enough room to make up for it. My brain is a little less fried than it was before, thankfully. Chapter 7C was such an unending ordeal for me. Wow. It's a great level from a technical standpoint. I'm just... I don't know, something about it did not click with my brain. Like, all the other challenges in this game have felt really approachable, really doable, especially with enough practice and time. That one, well, I mean, it speaks for itself. It took so long to beat for me. Oops. I don't know what to say other than it just was not... It didn't work with my brain. Like, I've proven in this that I think I've proven that I'm at least somewhat reasonably good at this game. Considering I've done everything, I've made it through everything else, I guess. Or at the very least, I have the capacity of beating this game with enough time and practice, and not RNG. There's nothing RNG about this, really. Just time, practice, and... Whoa, okay, I was going really fast there. Whoa, just missed that. I probably need that dash reset, so... This room doesn't feel as bad as I thought it would. Whoop, okay, that was interesting. I was holding the grab and it looked like I interacted with the wall. I guess I was just a little too far. Whoops, a little too far away. I digress. Like, I think it's maybe more than anything. It's just I need a break from this game. I'm honestly considering maybe before diving into Chapter 9, switching to another game for a little bit just so that I can have a mental reset. I need something cozier, and I took a brief break already and tried Ori and the Blind Forest, which seems up my alley, but I don't know if easy is necessarily the correct word. It seems like I'm getting one-shot by things playing it on the harder, not the hardest difficulty, but on hard difficulty. There is apparently a one-life difficulty where as soon as you die, the run is over, which, no, I'm not doing that. I will not do that. But I'm contemplating maybe switching over to casual, like normal difficulty to better experience the game. Well, since we're going to be here for the long haul grinding this section out, I may as well maybe go on another tangent about a core memory. I still can't believe in the episode where I was doing the core and the B-side of the core, and I'm talking about all these core video gaming memories, and I didn't even realize that I was making a pun using the title of the chapter. I missed the perfect opportunity for a pun. How? No, Kevin, come back. Kevin, please. Oh, that felt so fancy. I'm doing that forever now. Alright, check out this trick I just figured out. How cool is that? That feels really good to pull off. And now I have a little bit more time to fight against the lava on this section, but a little less time against the ice on the clouds there. I don't think it matters terribly much. But anyway, I think since we're here in the core again, I may as well share another core memory, and I figure, why don't we talk about a core memory that we have shared together? And I was thinking about that one special night we had after the first major exam we had during our grad school course. So to set the stage, feels bad. I had no dash. Anyway, continuing the story, we met in grad school in our first year, pretty early on. I'd say maybe like 3 or 4 weeks. I guess it was about 4 weeks into the start of the course, maybe. We had met earlier, but I guess our first, if you want to call it a date, although we definitely didn't call it a date, was about 4 weeks into the course, roughly. Regardless, this was more about 3 months into our having known each other, having survived grad school together. It was the end of a 13-week course, a grueling course that really, it was wake up at 7, go to classes at 8, have non-stop lectures and labs until at least 5 or 6 p.m., and then spend the rest of the evening studying. There was no time for personal time. There was no time for personal interest. It was, you have to survive this course, because the final exam of this course is pretty much, if you don't make it, you're out, or at least you're held back to the next year. So you can't progress with the rest of the course, and you have to wait a full year to try again. So with that in mind, there was a lot of pressure under this exam, and we both passed, obviously, but the point being is we needed something to decompress, to alleviate that stress after making through it. And so we had planned a night together following the exam, and I don't remember the exact day, whether it was the night of the exam or the night following the exam or a couple days after, but regardless, it was early November for sure. It was cool. It was definitely getting cool, not super cold, but cool enough that you could tell winter was coming. And that night, we made a nice dinner together. You made string bean casserole and cornbread pudding, and I baked chicken breast, which I had been learning how to do, and I seasoned it up with a bunch of like garlic powder and onion powder. And then we ended up watching a bunch of movies together, which our choice in movies was all over the place. We watched Your Name and actively sobbed on each other's shoulders for that one, or maybe we weren't so close to be that bold, but we were definitely both like silently crying by the end of the movie. I very much remember that. And then we watched Mulan and Kung Pao. And so we watched one of our favorite Disney movies. We watched a extremely emotion-driven romance movie, anime movie. And we watched Kung Pao, which is, if you're not familiar with it, anyone else who's listening, a comedy movie, effectively, but someone took a traditional Chinese movie and dubbed over it with the stupidest things and edited in the stupidest things, and we figured we'll do one serious movie, one funny movie, and then we just ended up watching Mulan after those two, because we're like, well, we both like this movie and we don't know what else we want to do, so we did that. But so as a whole, that night on its own was very nice. It was just a genuine moment of us enjoying things together, a meal we created together, a shared movie, a couple shared movies together, one that we hadn't seen, one that we had seen, and one that I had seen that I recommended to you against your better interests, namely Kung Pao on that one. But we definitely laughed a lot to that movie. It's very dumb. But really, where the core memory for me comes from is what happened after after that moment, and that was we went outside. It was definitely early morning, like 1 or 2 a.m. at that point. We had been up pretty late watching all those movies, and we went outside because apparently there was not quite a full meteor storm, but a bunch of shooting stars, and so we went outside to watch it. And I just remember just standing next to you in kind of the brisk mid to late fall air, watching shooting stars fly fly through the sky, and we're just standing there in silence. And in the back of my head, I'm hearing one of my favorite songs play, a song called Kimi no Shiranai Monogatari. It's the first ending theme from the Bakemonogatari anime series, which was an anime series that I had kind of gushed to you about at the time when we first met. Like, you very much enjoyed listening to me ramble about video games, ramble about anime. So funny that 6 years later I'm still doing that to you and you're still enjoying it somehow, but now in some weird video nonsense that I decided to put on YouTube. It's weird how things progress from there, but I remember that moment of just having made it through one of the greatest challenges of our life in terms of academics, hands down, unquestionably the most difficult course I had ever faced in terms of academics up until that point. Unfortunately, grad school proved that was not the stopping point for difficulty, but that's another story for another day. But just sharing this quiet moment with another person who I enjoyed being with, and I don't know, it's just a very special memory to me, so I'm very, very glad that we got to share that moment together. And I don't think it would be as special if you hadn't been there, so I guess that's the story. That's probably my first genuine core memory with you, aside from when we first met and got each other's name wrong. But I'll save that story for another time, another video, probably in the near future. Getting closer and closer. I can feel it, Kiwi. Unlike 7C, it doesn't feel like I'm plateauing here. It feels like I'm actually making quantifiable progress in learning the mechanics, getting the muscle memory, and finding little skips along the way. I'm still so happy just pulling off the super jump, and it looks so much fancier than it really is, but it feels darn good to pull off. And it doesn't seem to really be messing up any of the cycles of the rest of the run. Oh, Kiwi! I did it! Yeah! Freedom! I have completed all seasides in Celeste. And it feels so empty. 2 hours and 12 minutes, 33 seconds, and however many milliseconds that is. I don't want to read any more numbers. To Madeline. Wow, you did it. Variants are now accessible from File Select menu. What are variants? Alright, how many deaths? I can only worry. 601. It's always that one extra death. Alright, well. That's all the seasides. Let's see what this menu thing is. Variants. So I ended up looking it up because I couldn't find what variant mode is, so I guess I missed that it said from your save file. So if you go here, you'll see that you can switch it on and off. And supposedly what this does is get you access to things like unlimited dashes and not being able to take damage. So if it's effectively an accessibility mode among other things. It sounds cool, but I'm not going to really mess around with it because I want to experience this game unchanged in its purest form. No, I don't know what I want to say here. Basically, I want to experience this game unassisted. I want to beat it on my own merit, and I don't need unlimited dashes or no damage mods to make that accessible. I'll get there through sheer time, will, effort, and eventually skill. But with all that said, Kiwi, I hope you've enjoyed watching. I know this is going to be a shorter video than usual, but I wanted to basically I need to start fresh for Chapter 9, knowing what I'm getting into, most likely. So, for what it's worth, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed reminiscing about the story I shared, and I hope if you're awake, this is helping you fall asleep. If you're asleep, I hope you're sleeping well. I love you, and I'll see you in the next one.